Well, welcome to our latest Take a Seat interview. I'm delighted to be joined by Neil Mather from University of Dundee. It's great to get the chance to catch up with so many different people and to be able to kind of give them a platform to come on and be introduced and tell their story. We also share this as a podcast as well, so it's great to kind of be able to get lots of different uses for your content, Neil. Thank you for coming on. We really appreciate it. So I wonder, just to kind of kick us off, obviously kind of tell us a little bit about what you do, but I'm really interested in, we're talking to people at the moment about how they're finding things. You know, how have you found things over the past couple of years? And what does the rest of 2022 look like in your role?
Yeah, that is a very good question, Alison, to be honest. Yeah, it's obviously been difficult from a personal and a professional standpoint. We had a couple of bereavements in the family as well, which during the COVID period, which made it even even more difficult from a family standpoint. I think certainly if you told me at the start of this process that 2 years later I'd still be working from home, I wouldn't have believed you. And I also wouldn't have believed that we could have worked efficiently from home. And I would say we certainly have, to be totally honest. There's been one or two teething problems, but on the whole, we've managed, certainly with the research and innovation services, which is the area I work with within the university, I think it's worked as well as you could be expected. Individuals have been aware that sometimes there's been teething problems and we've just worked round about them. And I like to think during that period, we've still managed to support the academics who have obviously had their own issues when it comes to, as well as their research activities. Obviously, the student element as well has been particularly difficult. So I like to think during that period that, irrespective of how we weren't expecting it, we've managed to rally round and support the individuals, the academics and the university as a whole going forward. And from then again, with my role with industry as well, as trying to keep things rolling on as much as possible. For the rest of 2022, we're now in a bit of a hybrid situation where we're going into the office a couple of days a week. We've also now actually changed office location within the university, where instead of 11 Perth Road, which was a lovely pink building, maybe lovely is maybe not the best word, but it was a pink building. We're now in the tower. So we're adapting to that as well as obviously seeing each other. And I have to say I've thoroughly enjoyed seeing my colleagues again in the last few weeks, and I quite enjoy going in. It does mean you need to map your day a little bit more, because sometimes it's easier to do some of your meetings face to face on those 2 days. Other times it can be easier still doing it on Teams. So again, I think we've had to be a little bit more proactive, if you like, when it comes to our day-to-day planning of actually carrying out our job itself. But I must admit, I mean, obviously I'm aware that there's a number of issues in the university sphere just now, right across the whole country. But I'm looking forward to the rest of the year, and hopefully we can help the University of Dundee in particular come through what's been a particularly difficult period for everybody.
Yeah. And do you have a nice view from your new office then?
Yeah, it's fine. We can see across the Tay, across the Fife, so
nice.
It's very, very nice. Yeah, the Dundee campus is a really nice campus. I mean, you're right in the city centre. You're only 5 minutes from the River Tay. There's nice walks round about Dundee itself. So I've got nothing but praise for the University of Dundee and Dundee. And even after all these years, I still enjoy, albeit it's been difficult for the last couple of years, I still enjoy the University of Dundee, and I enjoy the people I work with, to be honest, and that hasn't changed.
That's the most important thing, isn't it? You've got to really love what you do and the people that you do it with. So that's really nice to hear. So my next question is, all about outside of work. So what's been the biggest change to your life outside of work during the pandemic?
It's probably been a little bit difficult. The working from home element was difficult at the start because my wife was also working from home. My eldest son was working from home. My youngest son wasn't going to school, and that was difficult. We were all kind of trying to find space, and that was an impact both ways, if you like. But as everybody does, you find the sort of a common route to go forward. And to be fair, it was okay. My wife works for a local SME, McIntyre Chocolates, which is also based in Arbroath. So they were keen that they got back in the office sphere as quickly as possible from that standpoint. So it didn't last long, but it was a little bit awkward with the four of us at home pretty much the whole day, and trying to find computers, and I need to print and you're printing first, and yeah, but we got there in the end.
Brilliant. And so you've already said that you're out and you're kind of meeting people face to face and whatnot again, but how are you finding that?
Okay, yeah, I think a little bit strange to start with. And it was a little bit strange because I had a couple of colleagues that had started after lockdown, and I'd been dealing with them on a screen for the best part of 2 years. So when you finally see someone face to face, it can be quite difficult, not difficult, but different. One of the individuals I'm thinking about that actually started, we hadn't actually met each other face to face, and she said I was taller than she expected. So you get these strange things, if you like. So yeah, but it's been refreshing, to be honest, to actually get back and just to see someone normally again. It has been quite a difference, and I must, as I said earlier, I'm thoroughly enjoying it. But still quite different, and you never know what the individual. Some people maybe still like to wear masks and look at distancing, and I think you've got to still respect other people's boundaries. It may be that the government legislation has changed and you don't need masks, but individuals, depending on their own circumstances, may still want to wear them, may prefer to be distanced, and I think you've just got to respect each other on that basis.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's a really nice way of putting it, because nobody's completely sure, how to and you have to really pick up the cues of the other person. I mean, we've been doing quite a bit of interviewing actually in the office over the last few days, and there's not been many people that have been up for shaking hands. So you kind of have to just go by, how does the other person, what's you get it from body language anyway, don't you? But yeah, I agree. It's we're going to look back on this, aren't we, and just think this is going to have been the most bizarre part of history that we've lived through. Absolutely. It's just so strange, isn't it? Yeah. But as you say, we've all been so completely resilient and been able to adapt really fast. And then, before you know it, 2 years have gone past, and you're really used to working at home, and you're getting a different balance to your life, aren't you?
Yeah, I think there is a big part of that. And I mean, we've had to, obviously there's been a lot of individuals have been helping perhaps more getting food and that type of thing. We're certainly in that situation with older relatives and that type of aspect, getting them down for prescriptions and that type of thing where they couldn't get out before. So there's been an element of that where maybe we've all kind of mucked in a little bit more and appreciated the fact that maybe individuals that want to stay independent, which is totally fine, but do need a little bit of a help and maybe reluctant going in a supermarket and that type of thing. So again, it's been a bit of a learning curve from us all, but hopefully some good lessons have been learned as we go forward.
Absolutely. Okay, so random question number 1, sweet or savoury? And what's your favourite food from your choice?
Yeah, I was thinking about that. I spent more time thinking about that one than I did some of the other questions. And I'll be honest, I think I would say at this moment in time, sweet, because I've actually had this. I've been going to Tesco's, and you get little bread and butter puddings in the little pots. Mm-hmm. I've been thoroughly enjoying them over the last few weeks as well. I'm going to have to stop it, to be honest. But I would say sweet, and I like I'm not a great one for puddings, but I like old-fashioned ones like rice pudding. But I've really been into bread and butter pudding lately, so that would be certainly my choice at this moment in time.
Brilliant. Is that the little microwavable ones you mean?
That's the little microwave one.
Yeah. So they burn your mouth off if you eat them too fast.
That's true. And that's part of the problem as well, that they're too easy. Stick them in a minute for the microwave, and before you know it, the little packet 2 you bought have disappeared.
They're away.
They're away. So I've got to be careful. I need to wind back in it. But at this moment in time, I'm thoroughly enjoying them.
So if anybody's watching wants to know how to get on your good side, then that's easy done, isn't it? We put 2-pack of bread and butter puddings and you're sorted.
That's it. Even more than 2 packs would be fine.
Oh dear. Okay, doke. So, what did you want to be when you left school?
I didn't really know, Alison, to be honest. When I was at school, we had career advisors, if you like, and it was quite a quick process. With my own sons now, it's far more in depth and really finding out what. But at that point, the guy asked me what subjects did I like doing, and I said, well, I always wanted to do woodwork, but for different reasons, because I've always loved working with wood. That never happened. But at that moment, I was quite enjoying working with the mechanical, the metal working element within the school. And I said that, and the guy says, "Oh, you want to be an engineer?" And that was the end of the conversation. It was quite quick, and I then did a apprenticeship at Halliburton's in Arbroath, oil and gas industry. But it might not have been exactly what I wanted to do. And after that, I decided to go back to university and do a degree. But I quite enjoyed doing it in a roundabout way. But at that moment in time, I probably couldn't have told you what I wanted to do. But the way it's worked, that I worked in the oil and gas industry for quite a number of years, found myself in academia with Aberdeen and then moved to Dundee. It's worked in pretty well. I wouldn't change anything, to be totally honest, even if I had no career path at 16. But yeah, the way it's worked, and I've been quite happy.
Brilliant. And if you could do any job at all now, what would it be and why?
If I had to pick the thing I really enjoyed the most, it was when I was delivering papers when I was 13, 14. I think it was a sense of job satisfaction that you started off with a big bag of papers, and an hour later, you delivered everything. So you could really see what you'd done. You could really see that, yeah, I've made it, not made a difference, that's probably too strong. But you know what I mean? You could actually see the big picture that I've delivered all these papers. I had this at the start and now I've got nothing left. So in some ways, I always thought that if I could have done something, it would have been a postie. I probably would have enjoyed that, to be honest. So I just enjoyed that side of it. And then the obvious thing is a postie, because again, there's some probably different now, but back 40 years ago when I was that age, it was a different story. But I always enjoyed being a paper boy.
Oh, I love it. I was a paper girl and I was rubbish at it, really bad. And so I was terrible at the early mornings. I stayed in the Perth Road, so I had tenements on Blackness Avenue as my patch, and up and down those stairs, where I was like, I'm not built for this. And I can remember I used to put the wrong papers in the wrong doors, and it's through the letterbox, and you can't get it back. And then you got to a Sunday and it was like that thick for one household. I didn't last very long.
Yeah, that is very, very true. Yeah, very true.
But I think you're right about the postie thing. You know, I often, you know, if you're driving about and you see people, the posties out and about, they've got these trolleys now, and they're all branded up. But being out and about, I mean, the rain wouldn't be nice, but being out and about on a nice day would be fab, wouldn't it?
Yeah. It was a nice way. It got you out of your bed early, sort of thing. You did it before you went to school. You got, even at the weekend, it got you out and about. And as you say, if it was a nice day, it was perfect. It was really, really good. Yeah, I must admit. And you met some characters on your round, and especially some of the older people.
True.
Sometimes, I think sometimes you were the only person they actually saw, because you quite often got to the door with the paper. And they were standing waiting for it. Then they'd have a chat, and at some point you'd have to say, "Look, I'm really sorry, I'm going to have to go," because next door's waiting for their paper, or whoever further down the street. So, but I think there was that element of sort of community sort of thing that they did enjoy, just a quick few-minute crack.
Yeah, I love that. That's fab. So we've been talking a lot in business generally about digital innovation. I'm interested in how that's kind of working in all different organisations. So how's kind of digital been kind of driven forward in the the part of your business that you're involved in, and what do you think might be coming in the future?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of our activities based on the academics research background, and we support them to take that forward. So a lot of it's been the fact that with things like Internet of Things, with 5G, you can actually join up far more devices. The actual lag time from a communication standpoint is far less. So I think there's an efficiency and a refinement to much of the things we've already been doing, but as it's gone through the various periods, the various times, things have progressed, developed, that it's more accessible to more people. You can work in groups far easier than you could. I mean, even things like Teams where you can share documents. All these things a few years ago wouldn't have been possible. And if you think about not that long ago when we had COVID, if it hadn't been without digital innovation, we wouldn't have had any contact. I mean, it hasn't been perfect by a long stretch of imagination, but without the digital innovation elements, the Teams, the Zooms, we couldn't have any contact at all, either personally or professionally. Some people were in care homes, the other individuals weren't accessible, and the only way to actually keep any contact was through a screen. So, and I see more and more refinements in that particular area as we go on, and long may it continue. Long may it continue. I've got a 92-year-old aunt that loves her iPad and loves speaking to some of our other cronies online. And the moment she loses the connection, she's on the phone straight away saying, you need to come down and get me reconnected, because she does really rely on it now, because she's not very mobile for getting out of the house. So it's made a massive difference to so many people's lives in so many good ways. I know something gets a bad press. I've got a 16-year-old that spends far too much time looking at an Xbox. But that apart, it's got far more good aspects than bad. And like you say, I just see more and more development with 5G. It's faster, it's more efficient, more people can connect, more people can communicate. So long may that continue.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, next question. If you were offered a 4-day week, would you jump at the chance?
Yeah, probably. The age I am now, I probably would, yeah. Whether I would have said this 20 years ago, I'm not sure, but I've got a few colleagues that do 4 days a week, and they enjoy it. That usually tends to be the Friday, so you get a longer weekend. So, yeah, I probably would at this moment in time. That might be an age thing more than anything else.
How about the next one? If you were offered unlimited funds to move any place at all in the world, where would you go and what would you do?
I'm very much a home bird, to be totally honest. I enjoy my own country. I enjoy Scotland. I enjoy United Kingdom. I love Liverpool. This might sound a bit boring. I'm a massive Liverpool Football Club fan. So's my youngest son. I love to spend time in Liverpool. I love to spend time in London. And the other city I've always enjoyed is Boston. I've always enjoyed Boston, and being a seafaring city, there's very much similarities with Liverpool. But I have to say, I'm fit now. Again, it might be an age thing again. I'm content in Arbroath. I've lived in Arbroath all my life. So did my family, my parents. My kids are born here. My wife as well, sort of thing. So I enjoy here. I wouldn't want to move anywhere else, but if I had limited funds, I'd like to visit other places. Maybe just go and see more of the country and see other countries as well. We went to Barcelona just as a family, and it's the first time we did it, just before COVID, and we really enjoyed it. And I would have liked to have done more than that, and that hasn't really been possible in the last couple of years. So rather than moving someplace else, I would like, if I'd unlimited funds and more time, I would like to visit more places. That would be my answer to that one, to be honest.
That's a very good answer. All righty, random question number 2. If you could invite any 3 people to dinner, who would you ask? Now, they can be dead or alive.
Right. I would probably pick Winston Churchill, Bill Shankly, and Errol Flynn.
Brilliant.
So I just think they'd be three really interesting individuals to speak to be told. All obviously very, very different individuals, but I just think they'd be fascinating to just listen to their life stories. Simple as that.
I agree. Good choices. Okay, so just to kind of round us off a little bit, what is going to be the priority for you in your role for the rest of 2022?
I'm working in a new team just now, so that's taken a little bit of time to just get in different working practices, get to know the individuals, because again, I haven't seen a number of them face to face, and I haven't even seen them digitally in that much, to be honest, over the last 18 months. So getting used to my colleagues, getting an understanding of the colleagues, how can I support them, how they can support me, and then through that, how we can better support the academics, the university and industry in general, both local and UK and international. So just that, to be honest, improve communication, hopefully with a face-to-face, that we can actually develop the actual research activities of the university through the impact element of working with industry and other third parties. And part of that is just getting a better understanding of my team and perhaps them and me as well on our strengths and how we can work together on any weaknesses. It'd probably be that, to be honest, going forward, Alison.
That sounds like a nice way to kind of take the year out, doesn't it? Fab. And, you know, I mean, obviously, you know, we're a lot of the people that will be watching this will be from industry. So if they were interested in kind of having a chat with you, I mean, what would be the thing that they could come to you to ask about? And if they did want to come and ask some stuff, how would they get in touch?
Yeah, I'm very much a believer that when we work with industry, it's based on what industry needs rather than what the university wants to push. We've got fabulous academics, fabulous facilities, but again, they're not always totally appropriate to the actual issues, the day-to-day issues that a company's actually got. So what I always like to do, and if there's any companies out there, is what are the issues that you've currently got, either short term and long term? Let us know about them, because the University of Dundee will almost certainly be able to help, but if they can't, we're well connected with other universities in Scotland and the UK. So again, there may be some sort of collaborative opportunities, but my first starting point is just think about what you need. And I know it's difficult on a day-to-day basis, and there's a lot of firefighting with companies especially. But if you get 5 minutes, think about your current problems, what you'd like to do longer term, have a chat with us, and I'm sure we'll be able to help, because again, our academics like to get their intellectual property, their research out there to benefit others, and that's all we really want to do as an organisation.
Brilliant, sounds good. And what about how would they get in touch with you?
Yeah, I mean, either my email address or even LinkedIn. I mean, I'm quite happy to give my email address here if that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just n.mather, which is MATHER @dundee.ac.uk. But again, I'm also on LinkedIn as well, so that could be an easy way to start a conversation. But again, more than happy to take any queries or if anything anybody wants to discuss. And I'm sure if we can't help directly, then we can bring in others that can.
Brilliant. Okay, so now you know where to track Neil down, and if you do want to meet him in person and you want to take him one of these little bread and butter puddings, then what we will do in the kind of the information on the video and online, we'll share some contact details. Neil, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Super pleased. Thank you so much for coming on and taking the time to be interviewed. And so to those of you that are watching this back online, you might be watching it on YouTube, but you might be watching it on the Chamber website or on some of the social media channels. So thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. If you would like to come on and be interviewed yourself, then please get in touch with any of the Chamber team. We'd love to have you on. And my thanks again go to Neil for taking the time to come on and answer some of my random and not so random questions. So much appreciated, Neil.
Not at all. Thanks very much for your time, Alison. It's been an enjoyable experience.
Thank you.
Not at all. Not at all.